Hello and welcome. I know it has been a while since my last video. I've been traveling quite a bit and thus I've had very little time to develop on the AI. I did have some plans for it, and I'm happy to tell you that I've made progress. And especially on the last weekend, I was able to sit down for a couple of hours and try out some changes, specifically to get the AI to build more defenses. So this is a co-op gameplay, two versus two, my friend and me versus two normal AIs, and the goal here is to see if the AI builds more defensive structures and if we're able to beat it. Well, simple as that. So before the game gets underway, let me explain you a little bit about the changes I've done and what I hope to achieve with it. One of the bigger issues, or not so big, but one of the issues with the AI is that it doesn't really build defensive structures. If it does, maybe an MG emplacement here and there, very sporadic, not really enough to defend, let's say, outposts and all these captured points. And that's a bit of a shame because competitive heroes is very much built to break sieges. You've got mortars, you've got artillery, you've got all kinds of hand grenades and all kinds of things that are designed to effectively overcome defensive structures. And when you play co-op, often enough, you don't really need them. I mean, mortar is quite good to stop advancing enemy infantry, but other than that, it's not really very useful. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give the AI the opportunity to build more defensive structures, a more variety of them, and also to place them a bit better. And while I was changing the stats and changing various different settings and scripts, I realized that actually it's also very much dependent on the map. Some maps allow the AI to build more, some allow less. And I was investigating and found out that it is dependent on markers which are being preset on the map. So if these markers are missing, the AI is basically blind. It doesn't know where and how it needs to build. Unlike us, where we can see where is a good place, the AI needs these markers to understand the map. And there have been some map makers and mod makers out there who have added proper markers to their maps and even some to the vanilla maps, but by default they don't have them properly. Now this is one of the better vanilla maps that allows the AI to build. Sadly, often enough, it's just one-sided. So if the eye plays in one direction, it works. If it plays, if the eye starts on the other side of the map, it doesn't really work. So these are things that we have to keep in mind developing on the eye in itself. So let's see. My friend is playing Panzer Elite, a very advanced unit. In this case, well, the first battle I would say is almost a tie, given the fact that he lost about 80% of his unit. There are just two of them left, and they seem to be injured too. And he had to retreat, so that's always a problem. Playing Panzer Elite plays specifically with my mod quite a bit different than all the other factions do. Well, maybe more like Commonwealth, I would say, because the units are much more expensive. Losing them obviously hurts quite a bit more. However, they are also more deadly, they have more upgrades, and overall their long vigility in the later gameplay is much better. So, unlike the riflemen, which I use right now, or how are they called actually, Force Grenadiers, which lose their efficiency later on in the game, for the most part anyways. The Panzer Grenadiers and the Grenadiers are much more efficient. I really love it when a firefight goes into your favor like this one. That's just great. No losses. Massive success. Yay. Awesome. So, since I've been playing for a while, my reaction time, obviously, as you can see, is not the greatest. I'm all over the place. Like, what do you need to do? How do you need to do it? And unfortunately, the AI is pretty unforgiving. If you look on the map, we don't have 50%. We have maybe 25% of the map. And already, the AI is capturing the points which are rather close to the northern side. It's all at the beginning a race for time. If you don't manage to capture enough points and hold them, then it's basically the weight goes into the enemy's favor, and you're gonna just be stomped after a while because the resources are just so overwhelming. So you can't let the enemy, or specifically the eye now, to get the majority of points. You have to fight back. You have to keep them and recapturing them. And as you can see here, one of the promises that we have is already the AI controls the majority of points by now. And with that, it is able to just build more and faster. And yeah, so One of the things that is obviously the case in the wild is that the eye is not just pushing with individual units, but he always uses clumps or a joint force. Like in this case, he uses a jeep and he uses infantry. So the infantry are covering to the south, the jeep is moving to the north. And my friend decided to build an Opel Blitz with a 20 millimeter, which is basically a paper truck. I mean, it is not armored or anything. It is very useful if you put it far in the rear and you have infantry in front and just use it as a long-range weapon. Then it can be quite good. It can even destroy half-tracks if it's well-placed. But other than that, it's expensive. And yeah, I just wasted 200 or I think even more manpower points on trying to build this structure, which ultimately got destroyed. And yeah, as you can see, the eye is already pushing really hard. And if you switch off the fog of war, you can see something really interesting happening. The moment the eye sees that point, it is attempting, or in this case, looks like successfully building a defensive structure. In this case, it's a 50 millimeter quad MG trailer, and these things are insane. They're really bad. You can only build them if you are airborne or if you chose the airborne doctrine. But once built, they're really deadly. So this one can actually be taken out by a sniper easily because it's not one of these emplacements. You can hit them. And also other infantry with a hand grenade can take it out. But getting close enough, that's always the hard part. And I'm attempting to do it. Let's see if I'm successful. Well, with the infantry in front, I can't even get close enough. And all my units are immediately pinned. That thing is not only deadly, but its ability to pin my infantry so efficiently makes it almost impossible for me to get close enough to throw a hand grenade. And yeah, so this is where the new strategies hopefully come to fruition. So instead of just pushing with infantry, taking back the points, fighting as other infantry, you now have to use a combination of different things because there's a AT, there's a quad MG, so you can't push. You need to use mortar or something alike. And if you look around, he is now not only securing every point, which is, of course, something tremendously useful, but again, he is defending it now. Yeah, sometimes he's a bit doing an overkill, I would say. I have to fine-tune this. I would say both of them seem to have taken airborne doctrine, given the amount of defenses they're building and the type of defenses specifically. But these triage centers, I think, are actually really useful because they are collecting the bodies. And you get a free infantry, a rifleman section every time this goes full, which is really cool. And it gives you just a little bit of an edge, plus it heals units in the vicinity, so it's always good to have. So as you can see, more and more defenses are being built, and he chooses to build them also in an area where it's most contested, so close to you to really give you a fight to recapture that point. That's the idea. So as you can see, now our northern front is pretty much under his control. And this is where we started to use our new strategy of using mortars to break that defensive position and recapture it. So mortars are great, but yeah, they're not always accurate. As you can see here, taking out this thing is actually easy. The grenade before already, the shrapnel already killed the guy. So even though they're deadly, they're not too hard to deal with. And the good thing about it is you can capture it. So once you've taken care of the guy who's mounting the stuff, you might even use it yourself later on and use it against the enemy. So yeah, that's a good idea. But I mean, the map really tells the story. The eye has the majority of points. He is massing his units on the northern side. He has also mortars that he keeps in the back to make sure that your advances are being slowed down. And on the southern side, yeah, there's a bit of units, but since we have to focus on the other side, it's going to be very difficult. And let's go quickly right here. Here's what I think we can call a claw attack. So you got units on the northern side, an infantry and sniper team in the middle, infantry and engineer team on the southern side. All three of them advancing on pretty much what I would say our stronghold, which also was our main defensive structure, which is giving us the ability to cut off the enemy's resources. And now that we're losing this, yeah, things become really bleak already. And this is how long we're in the game, about 10 minutes, right? So we're 10 minutes into the game, and we are fighting overwhelming odds, and it's just getting worse. So yeah, is massing his units, and we are kind of like all over the place with ours. As you can see, in the southern side, there's barely anyone. They're all in the north, and once I noticed that, I actually was pushing the south a little bit. But my colleague seems to have not enough. Well, he basically has nothing. He has one infantry team here, which is very static. That's a mistake. The mortar's doing a good job, but without line of sight, which I don't think he has. Yeah, without line of sight, it's pretty pointless. And I myself, I do have a mortar, but I also have very limited vision. I use my sniper to grant me a little bit of vision. And yeah, so I was able to push back the enemy from the center point with my own reinforcements arriving from the south. But I think I'm quite preoccupied because I don't really move them properly. So anyways, at the very least, we have been able to push them back. And remember, I do not have vision of what is going on over here. So I actually just thought, okay, there's maybe a little bit, so let's advance, let's capture this point and be done with it. Unaware of the extent of enemy units that are actually just bypassing us. As you can see here, this is a good example. We've got 5 sections. Well, one is half down, but let's say 4 sections that are completely flanking us. They're completely flanking our defenses and advancing from the northern side, northeastern side almost. So while we are attempting to get to that ammunition point under heavy losses, if I may add, the main problem is we completely foregoing the danger which happens here. And I really like how the AI does this. He moves forward, he takes a point, he secures the point, you get infantry around, nicely placed, advances, always keeps infantry in the rear. You see he's pushing with 1 infantry, and the rest are basically just covering the rear angles, so that you can't really outflank the enemy easily. And so in this case, it's quite a smart move. So now he's trying to advance with 2 units. He used a shrapnel shot before to kill one of the squads, but I don't think he can do this so quickly again. So now he's losing that, and now he's pushing. He had 2 units back at the base, but maybe it's a bit too little too late. In the meantime, as you can see, it just looks bleak everywhere. Enemies now advancing. Again, a clump of units. We've got, there was also one of these shrapnel shots or shotgun shots. So we got 2 tanks, plus I think this is a mortar carrier, yeah, plus a mortar carrier advancing on the southern side. And because of this combination of multiple vehicles, often enough with infantry, it is so hard to deal with. I was foregoing a T for a while. Now I have my own, which is a half-tech with a 75mm. Definitely enough to deal with these rather light Tetrak tank, or Stuart tanks, sorry. But you need to get line of sight, and as long as my unit is moving, I can see it. And yeah, this was only 1 of 3, and the mortar's in the back. And for some reason, the mortar is actually able to capture this point. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Wow. Okay, so by this time, I gotta be honest, it looks really bad. It just looks bad. Let's go over the map and look a little bit. We got Stuarts covering the center. We've got defensive structures in the north. Okay, here no defensive structures, but infantry covering this outpost. I have been able to capture this point. Hooray for me. Finally, I've got some defenses going for myself, plus this nice MG is really doing a good job. But at the end of the day, now we are being attacked by mortar, and there are already 2 of them right here. And unfortunately right now they're out of sight. As you can see, they're already starting to bombard me. And my point down there is disconnected. The enemy's got the majority of points here. And if you look at the map, or if you look at the enemy's base, rather, I think he's about to build Shermans. So yeah, everything is pretty much going into the favor of the eye. And we are now, how many minutes? Almost 50 minutes into the game. And I think the eye, you can say, is in a commanding position. We lost that point again. Mortars probably took care of my infantry. I'm retreating, there's only 1 guy left. My colleague is trying a last-ditch attempt to capture some points. But yeah, I think it's too late. So at this point, it's just a numbers game. He has units, by the way, in buildings, as you can see. He's capturing these buildings and holding them. So that obviously makes it even harder to recapture these points. So if they are inside the buildings, you have to use flamethrowers or mortars or something to get there. Plus, of course, he's capturing points now with his own mortar truck. I didn't even know that was possible. Thanks, Blitzkrieg. Well, anyways, and yeah, and we're losing more and more points. So this is pretty much everything I have right here. 5 sections of infantry. The main goal is to maybe somehow recapture some of the points. I do have a truck somewhere in the back, or this the 75mm trying to kill it. I'm not hitting it for some reason. And every point the AI captures, he immediately upgrades it as soon as he has the resources for it. And it's something I have to really commend. If you look at my resources, I do have a lot of excess resources. And really it's something we have to do much more deliberately. Wow, there was a mortar hit. So yeah. He bypasses my MG, by the way. That's another thing. The AI really learns if he detects your placement, if there's another path around it, he will always try to do that. So in this case, I think you can watch the last minutes or seconds of this gameplay video, and you can see the overwhelming force that you are dealing with when you're playing against 2 normal AIs already. So I disabled something which is called the military cap, which makes the AI not build more units once it is stronger than you. I don't even know why it was in place. I think it's rather stupid. So I removed this already a while ago. So he just keeps building. You know, it doesn't care if you have just 10 infantry. He just keeps building tanks or whatever until he destroys you or he wins against you. Which I think is better. And eventually he can't build anymore anyways because of the either pop cap or the costs that these units have with their upkeep. So eventually he won't be able to either build tanks or other things because he has just too much. But until then he keeps building, and the same thing you would do as well. So I think it's a good idea. And as you can see, he's really messing up the units, and now he's doing his massive push. Wow. That is ridiculous. We didn't even see that, by the way. We didn't see any of that. We were like, okay, yeah, well, we lost because we don't have any more points. But we didn't see that. That is impressive. Really? Really? That is just insane. Well, I'm going to do another gameplay video shortly, and I'm going to do this just playing the Blitzkrieg mod vanilla. Well, it's not vanilla, but the Blitzkrieg mod by itself without my changes. And then using the AI. Because I've had the request from the Blitzkrieg team, thanks very much, by the way, that they want to use my AI mod. And I think it might be a good idea to give you guys a gameplay video to see how this will work. Just my AI changes with the vanilla mod without my additional gameplay changes. And see if you like that too. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. If you have any special requests, let me know. And as per usual, I will put the download link for the latest mod version into the description. Please enjoy, and until next time. Bye-bye.